Hello everyone, I'm home. Welcome back to my channel. Well, today's the day. I'm going to take you on a tour of my first day at the Covered Bridge Festival 2025. So I hope you can pause this video, go get you a drink, and get comfortable because it's a long video and I think that you're really going to enjoy it. I was pleasantly surprised when my sons contacted me and said they were coming home to go with us, and they came home on Friday night and spent the night, and we all went on Saturday and we had a blast. So get you a drink, sit back and relax, and I hope you guys enjoy every second of this first round of the Covered Bridge Festival, and there will be part 2. Okay, before we get too far into the video, I wanted to talk to you about this. You guys have seen these little rolling carts before. They sell them at the festivals for $25 to $35. Well, Brad works for our town, and they have a townwide cleanup every year, and he always brings me something out of the trash that somebody didn't want, and he brought me this cart, and it was white, and he said, remember when you said you wanted to buy one of these carts, but you was too cheap to buy one? He said, I got you one. So I took some Rust-Oleum paint in a satin finish called Rustic Orange, and I spray painted it. I taped off the handles and put a Walmart sack over the wheels, and I painted it up, and I cannot tell you how great this was and how many people came up to me and said, where did you get that orange cart? Thank you, Brad. It was free. So I took my favorite cup that I got at Dollar General 2 years ago, filled it with ice water, and we loaded up the cart and a cooler, and we took off for the Covered Bridge. But like I said, our kids came home the night before and spent the night. We watched a haunted movie or a scary movie. I didn't watch it. I was cooking. But we went Friday night to a place we all go to called Gross Burgers. It's near Georgetown, Illinois, outside of Danville. And I know it sounds gross burgers, but it's not. The hamburgers are fantastic. Their fries are great. It's a tradition in our community for everybody to go to Gross Burgers. My husband's been going there since he taught school. He knew the owners and everything. So we took the boys and Marcus's girlfriend, and we went to Gross Burgers and had dinner, and it was wonderful. Came home, watched the scary movie, stayed up late, got up early, and took off for the Covered Bridge Festival. Now Marcus is hanging out the window taking this video for me because the road going to Bridgeton is long and winding. So he took this video for me as we're driving down to Bridgeton. Now we had a pretty good drive until we got about 1.5 miles before Bridgeton, and then the traffic was backed up pretty far and we had to slow down a lot and pretty much stop. And they were teasing Kevin about looking for Bigfoot in the woods, and I saw this sign and couldn't wait to get to the Covered Bridge. So we get there, and right before Bridgeton, this is a rummage sale that we stop at every year. We know the fella. Well, we don't really know him. We just talk to him every year, him and his wife. But they're real nice, and they have a big barn and a big garage just full of stuff. And actually, I didn't buy anything this year. Kevin ended up buying a gas can for $1, and that's all we bought. But we visited with him, and then on your way down to Bridgeton, about 2 miles from his place, there's another little yard sale that's always off on the side of the road, and they always have a ton of stuff and change every day. They get more stuff in every day, and we have a really fun time at that one. Now, Kevin is really funny. He's always picking up some crazy random thing that he thinks I'll like, and he'll hold it up, and he'll say, hey, babe, what you like this? And I'm always like, no. Or I'll say, he'll go, what is this? And I'll say, I think it's an ashtray. It's always some real quirky thing. So the boys picked up on that, and everything Kevin would go to show him, they'd say, Dad, I think that's an ashtray. And Kevin would put it right back. But we laughed at him because he's so funny. He'll pick up a plate with roses on it, and he pretty much knows what I like, but sometimes he messes up. Poor Kevin. And then we just walked around that rummage sale. They were taking pictures and having fun, and we had a really good time, and we know the people. Well, I keep saying we know the people. We don't know the people that run these sales. We just talk to them every year like we do know them, and they're just so friendly. And I thought this book was cute. Manners can be, what is it? I can't see it all. Manners can be fun. And we jumped in the car from there. That's tradition. We have to go to those 2 yard sales, Kevin and I. And then Marcus took pictures for me as we're driving down the road towards Bridgeton. And like I said, as we got closer to Bridgeton, the traffic got pretty bad, but it doesn't matter because it was the most beautiful day. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it was perfect. I think we left the house about 8 o'clock and we got down there about 9:15. And the trees were so beautiful with the sunshine coming through. And like I said, I saw this sign and that makes you drive a little faster. You want to get there. So we slowed down and we were all talking and playing a game where the boys would put on music and we'd see who could pick the song and the artist quickest, and I won. But Kevin always thinks he's going to win. He only wins when they play Keith Whitley songs because those are the only ones he really knows. So here we are. We're winding into Bridgeton, and the cars, they have 2 fields you can park in, but they go around the town. So no matter where you park, you're still pretty close to getting in there. So we walked across the bridge and saw the pretty mill. It's so pretty there. Years ago, I think, you know how bad I am at guesstimating. I'm going to say 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, and I'm probably way off. Someone burnt this bridge down. So the antique bridge had to be rebuilt, but they did such a great job of building it. They used really good hardwood and big heavy beams, and it's just beautiful. It really looks like the original bridge, so they did a fantastic job. And I always take pictures of it when I go across it because it reminds me of the Bridges of Madison County movie that I love so much. And that movie could have been made in this county of Parke County, Indiana, because they have so many bridges. I think there's 24 bridges, and I have never seen them all. I've seen about 6 of them, I think. So one of these days I've got to go on that tour and see all of them. But as soon as we got there, I think some of the stuff is getting commercialized. It's getting worse every year, but we did dig around and found some antiques and some things that you guys would like to see, but it was really hard to get pictures because there were so many people. This guy makes light switch covers of anything you would want. Elvis, Dolly Parton, Roosters, the Stooges, everything. I thought this was a real cute little dish towel. This place basically just had kitchen stuff. Then of the crafty booths, they were really hard to get into because they had a line going in and a line coming out, and you had to follow the line. And of course, people stop and look at things, and it was crowded in there, and sometimes I couldn't even get into some of these buildings. We went on the first Saturday that it was open, and that's a bad time to go. But as you can see, they had snowmen and Christmas and fall, and they even had Easter stuff out. I saw a lot of Easter stuff. And then these candles were anywhere between $8.95, $12.95. The big fat ones were like $24.95. And I love these kind of candles because you just put a battery in them and they flicker and they look like real candles and they last forever. So they're well worth the money. But I think a couple of weeks ago I showed you these. I picked up at the Mission. I got 2 of them for, I think they were 99 cents a piece. And when I got them home, I went to put a battery in them and they both worked. And they've been working just fine. And they're timed. So if you turn them on at 8 o'clock at night, they run for 4 hours and then they shut off and they come on at 8 o'clock the next night. So I've got to turn them on at 6 o'clock. But look at these pretty little cabins that they had built for food booths. And this is the main food court in the middle of all the food. And, oh, the food smelled so good. I'll have to show you what the kids got later. The kids kind of took off on us. They didn't want to hang out with us because we all like to look at different things, so we didn't see them much. I love this booth. They have big tin buckets full of all kinds of cool things. They had fall sprays and Santa Clauses. I thought Brad would like these, but Brad told me not to get him anything because he might be moving soon and he doesn't want any more pictures of a deer. I think these lighted pictures are so pretty. These sparkly things that the sparkly glitter goes through the lights, they have these at Cracker Barrel a lot, and I think they're so cute. They had so many of them, and I think they're neat, but they don't really go with the decor in my house, but they're neat. They're beautiful. And then there was one booth that had discounted stuff, like old stuff. And these teapots with a tin of English tea were $5 for the whole set, and I think that's a tremendous bargain. And like I said, I think the tea was from a couple years ago, but does tea really go bad when it's sealed up in a tin? And those teapots were just adorable. And I thought if you needed a gift for someone that liked teapots, that would be a nice gift for $5. They had tons of them, like cases of them. And this is the little building that's always there in their little town. I think is so sweet. And then we did run amongst our kids at one of the food booths. I think I heard Marcus talking and turned around and there he was. And their old general store is so cool. I love that place. And I thought this was neat. Can you imagine how many people have reached in there to get an ice cold Coke through the years? I think it was, I don't even want to tell you the price. I saw one that was $1,200 and it was about in the same condition. This one might have been a little less, but it was really cool. I couldn't get to the antique alley that I always go to. There were so many people in there, I just didn't do it. This is a neat old house. It's blue. They've painted it a real pale blue, and it's just beautiful. And it's got the most beautiful old wrought iron fence around it. Right about the time we were there, I was sitting on a bench. Here my kids got some Mexican corn. I was sitting on a bench and a guy came up to put something in the trash beside me and I grabbed his arm. I said, "You can't use that trash can." It was my cousin, Bill Schroeder. He's from, he lives about an hour from here and I see him a lot, but there he was, him and his wife. So we visited with them for a little bit. I always love to see Bill. He's a wonderful cousin to me. And all these little buildings are just so sweet. And like I said, the country store reminds me of Gunsmoke, like what they would have had back in those days. And Bridgeton is an adorable little town, but it was packed. And then this guy had taken record albums, and it looked like real records. And he had carved them out somehow, cut them, and he had a Dolly Parton one. Then he made them into clocks. They had the Beatles and Elvis. It was really cool. And then all the people, oh my gosh, I couldn't take a picture of anything without people in the way. And I have a few pet peeves about the covered bridge, and I might tell you about that on the next one. But here is what it looked like when we were coming in, and Marcus just sent me these pictures. And then here's another one. I said, "Marcus, how did you get all those people to get out of your way?" And he said, "Mom, it's AI. I removed them with AI. I said, "Well, I didn't know we could even do that. I would have had you take all the people out of all the pictures that I took." But it's kind of cool to see all the people. So, like I said, we're going to go back. But as we were leaving Bridgeton, this is the lineup of cars that was pulling into Bridgeton about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know why these people waited till 1 o'clock, but they were coming from every direction. There were 3 different roads that come into Bridgeton, and all of them had miles worth of cars. The kids got so tickled, we would come around a curve and they'd say, "That's surely the end of the cars." And then we'd come around a curve and there'd be 25 more cars. And one guy had his window down and he looked at us like, "Are we wasting our time?" And I said, "No, you'll have fun if you ever get there." And then we came up over another hill and there were 100 more cars. It went on for 4 miles. So we stopped in Rockville on our way back because Rockville's really our favorite place, and it's the original town that the festival started in. And we went to the courthouse square. Matthew likes a certain food that they have at the courthouse square. Kevin likes to get honey sticks off of this one person and candied apples. I thought this was pretty. They had painted this big mural on the side of one of their buildings, says Rockville Retro. And then, food everywhere on the square. And they had live music. And they had a lot of booths this year, all the way around the outside of the big tent that they also have in the middle of the square. There's vintage relics. I'm sorry to say I wasn't able to get in there. Both times that I went to Vintage Relics, they were backed out the door, and it was so crowded in there you couldn't move. So I didn't go in, but like I said, Kevin and I are planning to go back probably in the middle of the week whenever hopefully some people went to work and we can have a day. And then they had an old-fashioned theater, and then they have the tour. I believe this is the tour where they drive you out in the country and let you see some of the covered bridges. It might be all of them. I don't know. I've never taken the tour, but I thought you guys would like to see that. And then while Kevin was getting his kettle corn, I went around the block a couple times to pick him up, and people were decorated, and you could get apples and pumpkins and mums, all the stuff. Now, this is the corner I pick him up when he gets his kettle corn, and this is always decorated with haystacks and pumpkins and mums. And it wasn't decorated this year, but you know what? I gave them some grace because I got to thinking, when a festival's coming up, you are busy. You are so busy getting your stores ready, getting your town cleaned up. These people, they let people park around their house, so they're so generous that way. And I noticed some messes on the sidewalk in a few places, and I remember thinking as I walked past, they should have cleaned that up before the festival. But then I remember we've had festivals in our town, and I've been in charge of some of them with another friend of mine. We were the head of it, and it's hard to get it all done. But their town, for the most part, looked fabulous. And this little setup, I'm sure by the middle of the week, will be all decorated up. They just ran out of time. And we went into Cora's place. She's our gal from here in town. Years ago, she lived here, and now she's got a secondhand store down there where she benefits the local pet and dog shelters. And I thought this was cute. She just took the top of a hutch and set it on the floor for a display piece. And she had a lot of pretty things. We didn't stay in there very long because it was packed. And we see her from time to time when we go there anyway. So we didn't even bother her. She was busy at the checkout. And I was so happy to see how busy she was. And people were donating and getting money coming in for the pet shelter. And then I hope you guys are geared up and ready for this. This is the G&M variety. Now, this is the stock photo off of their website because I always forget to take a picture, and there were so many people in front of it. But this is one of our favorite stores. I say it's our favorite because Kevin loves it so much. It's just like walking back in time to when you were a kid going to an old-fashioned dime store. And I'm about to take you on the funnest ride. This place is fantastic. Soda pop. Any kind of soda pop you've ever known about in your life or remember from the old days, you will find here. I'm telling you what, we always say about this store, if they don't have it, you don't need it. It's almost like these little towns survived with just these stores because they had everything. Sundrop was Kevin's mom's favorite, so he would always buy that for her. And they had everything. Now, this is the back of the store. They had a ton up front, and when we got to the back of the store, they had this much more. It was so much fun going through all that pop. And then these are their spices. And they're 99 cents and $1.29. I mean, they're real cheap. I always pick up my cinnamon and my cinnamon sticks for my potpourri and my ground cloves and whole cloves. I didn't buy any this time because I bought so many in the past. I have plenty, but I always pick them up if I need them here because I'm telling you, whatever you need, you just say, gosh, I wish I was down at Rockville at the dime store because I could get that because they just have everything. They had all these plastic things, which I keep those on hand to take food to people. The dish towels, the flour sack dish towels, coasters. Oh my gosh, they have the most beautiful coasters, real country looking like quilts or just country patterns. And like I said, any little trinkety thing you need, they have it. It's so much fun to go through all this stuff. And then you're like, you grab something because you didn't even realize you needed that. And they have it all. It's just so much fun. And when you're walking through these aisles, guys, it took me back to 1968 when I used to go to the one in Milford, Illinois with my mom. She would take me in there and we'd walk the aisles and you saw everything. And that's just exactly what this is like. And this guy is really good at getting the things that people remember, like hairnets. When I had the beauty shop years ago, I needed hairnets. Sometimes the elderly ladies always wanted a hairnet and they'd say, can you get me some hairnets? And plastic rain bonnets. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember those, but I had ladies who wanted them, so I always kept them on hand, and I had to order them through the beauty supply, and this place has them, and they sell them. And they used to, years ago, have these little plastic, they look like little plastic purses. They were real tiny, about 2 inches tall, and you would fold your rain bonnet up and put it in that little purse and keep it in your purse. And there they are, rain hoods. They had 3 different kind of rain hoods. And as you can see, people are buying them. And combs and brushes and mirrors and pill boxes and just any little thing you need in your life, you'll find here at this variety store. And like I said, the man who runs it, he knows what to get. He knows what everybody would like to see and what they'd like to buy. All these little, well, there's pill cases and there's little coin purses and phone chargers, just anything. And he has some jewelry, and I couldn't get to it. But I have a ring that I bought there for $2 years ago, and it's one of my favorite rings. And when I wear it, people go crazy. And I gave $2 for it. And look, Blue Waltz perfume. When I was a little girl, we would go to the dime store in Peebles, Ohio, and my grandpa bought me a bottle of Blue Waltz perfume, and it looked just like this. And I had it for years. I kept the bottle, and I'd put other perfume in it, and just brings back so many memories. And doesn't this look like dime store? All kinds of semi-tacky flowers. But they had everything you needed if you wanted to do floral arrangements. And candy. Oh my gosh, you talk about dime store candy. Kevin goes crazy. He loves their candy. And they have a lot of the older brands that you don't see anymore. It's kind of like the Vermont country store up in Vermont. They have a catalog even that you can order all that old-fashioned stuff out of. But you can find most of it here. And I can always find Kevin in the candy aisle. He's always over there getting him some stuff. And they have the Brock's Pick-a-Mix, but they have it in these old-fashioned bushel baskets. And then you weigh it when you go up to the checkout. And you might see some prices on these and think, man, they're kind of expensive. But can you really put a price on nostalgia? I mean, people were having so much fun in this store, and they always do. Now, they have a lot of Indiana-based things. This was a puzzle, but they also have books that people have written about Indiana. They have calendars, they have date books, all kinds of stuff. If somebody's written a book about something in Indiana, they have it. So the people from Indiana can always find a good gift for someone. And now this is going to be a real treat, so hang on. Vintage toys. Look down there on the bottom shelf. They have little brooms and dustpans. When I was a little girl, I had a metal broom and dustpan. And I still have the dustpan. And this guy, he knew exactly what to order for his store. Almost everything in the toy aisle will take you back to your childhood in an instant. I saw people walking around going, oh my gosh, I had one of these. My brother loved these. And if they have their kids with them, they're saying, look, honey, Jack in the Box, this is how it works. You wind this thing up and this thing will pop out and scare you. And it was just fun. I couldn't take pictures of everything because there were so many people, but it was so much fun listening to the people talk and about their memories and then sharing them with their children. It was wonderful. And the guys were all in another part of the store, so I stayed here and took these. Now, these are those things, they're little cans that, if you're old enough to remember them, you tip them and they sound like a cow mooing, or they had sheep and pigs, and we had the one with the cow when I was a little kid, and it was just a fun little toy to play with, and you played with them forever. And you kept them, and your cousins played with them, and everybody knew what they were. And now kids don't have stuff like that. They've got the computer and video games. And then these little balloon cars. My brother had those. And the old cards. I had Hearts and Old Maid when I was little. And I played Old Maid all the time. And Go Fish. It's just fun. And then they had all these cute little toys that are just on a card, and back in the day they were probably like 59 or 69 cents when I was a little kid, but now they're a lot more, but they take you back nonetheless. And then I thought this was so cute, and I probably had something like this. It's like a wedding day set. It's your jewelry for your wedding day, and it's got a little marriage license with it and a ring, and it's just on a little cardboard slab. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but when we were kids, that was a real treat to go to the dime store with your mom and to get something like that and keep it. And a little princess set with the crown and the wand. Now, these things here, I always had one of these, and all my life they have intrigued me because I never did figure out how the dumb things worked, but I love them. And they had individual ones, or you could buy a set with the orange juice and the milk, and I don't know how to explain it, but when I saw that, I was a little kid again. I was just standing there like, oh, wishing my mom would buy me that. And then they had the Viewmaster. Now, this is a newer version. I've never seen one of these before, but they said that they had the old-fashioned one, but that they were out of them. And I believe it because I bet a lot of people bought the old-fashioned one, but this is, I guess, the updated version. But, oh gosh, we used to go through those Viewmaster wheels and look at all the pictures, and that was big-time stuff. And then this little keyboard and these little cowboy hats. My brother always had a cowboy hat. And now this store is an old dime store. It was a Ben Franklin. Well, I don't know if it was a Ben Franklin. It might have always been G.C. Murphy, but it's always just been a cool store, and the man that owns it's really nice. And the guns, this is back when we were kids. You could play with guns and buy guns, and it was no big deal. One of the workers told me, she said, we get a little bit of flack about that now. She said people will say, you don't need to have those guns in here. But gosh, kids just used to play cowboys and Indians and play. They knew they weren't killing anybody. But my brother had those, and my boys had them. And I kept their little guns with the holsters so they can have them when they grow up. It was just part of growing up in the best of times, I guess. I don't know. I got a little bit emotional walking through there because I thought of my brother so many times because he had stuff like this, and Marcus always liked little army soldiers, and Brad collected them when he was little, and now we give them to Brad for Christmas if I find old ones at yard sales because he doesn't have his anymore. His mom gave them away. Of course, when you grow up, your mom passes them on to someone else. So Brad loved those, and little money sets with a cash register drawer. Oh gosh, it went on and on and on, all this fun stuff. Those little hands were sticky and they would climb the walls, and pet snake or rubber snakes. I used to hate those. And then all the toys. It was just like going to Gamble's in Watseka, Illinois when I was a little kid. And these little metal tops, my brother had one of those. And as you can see, one box is almost empty. A lot of their stuff was empty boxes. They'd sold so many. And then, of course, the whoopee cushions. All the kids love those. Now, this next thing really took me back. The loom, the potholder loom. Mine was plastic. I had one when I was little, and my mom would buy me a bag of those loops, and I would make potholders. And I thought that was the greatest invention of all time. And my mom always told that if you were a visitor at our house, you had to leave with at least 1 or 2 potholders because I made so many of them. And when I saw all those loops, I just thought, I hope kids still play with those. I hope some little girl gets that set and just feels like I did and forgets all about video games and all the great stuff of today and just thinks that that's a wonderful little craft because it was. I made a lot of potholders. I wish I still had some of them. But they had all the games, all the stuff. And I was back there for probably a half an hour taking these pictures because I was waiting for people to get out of my way, and I didn't get to the coloring books. They had some real vintage looking coloring books that I would have liked for you guys to see, but I'll try to get back there. We go there all the time when it's not festival time, but I will tell you this, even when it's not festival time, this place is busy. This guy has a gold mine because people yearn for that. They want to go back. I mean, it's a good thing to go back. And kaleidoscopes. Oh my gosh, I loved kaleidoscopes when I was young, and these were so cool. But this third one, it was a marble kaleidoscope. So I tried to take a picture of the inside design for you so you could see how beautiful it was. It was real shiny and sparkly, and they only had one left. They were called marble kaleidoscopes, and they had all the other ones with the beads in them. And they were all so beautiful. And to see the adults standing there looking at the kaleidoscopes and loving it was really fun. But as you can see, this marble one, they only had one left. The whole box was gone. And I was going to buy this one, but it had a crack in the top of it. So he said he'll be ordering some more. And then my brother and my cousins, they always put model cars together, and they would paint them. Now, some man that was standing there looking at them told me that now they make them where the colors are already on the pieces. But back in the day when my brother did it, you had to paint it after you got finished. And he did that all the time. And bike bells. We all had a bell on our bike when I was a kid. And think about it, I don't think there's bells on bikes anymore. Maybe there are some at Walmart. You might see a bell, but it probably isn't as cool as these kind. And so had to take a picture of that, and Kevin was in another part of the store. I was going to bring him back there and show him this because I'm sure he had a bell. And you used to put like baseball cards in the spokes of your bike so it'd make noise. We knew how to have fun. And all the games. They had all the games. They had the Etch-a-Sketches in the regular size and little miniature ones. Really cool. They had magic 8 balls. They had pickup sticks. I never liked that game. They would poke me and I'd get mad. And then these were little bingo games you play on the interstate highway. Bingo, what is this? And puzzles, and even their puzzles had retro feels to them. They had the old cars and the old gas stations and the vintage vehicles, and they had these really cool John Wayne puzzles that my dad would have liked. He would do a puzzle with us every now and then. And then they had spirograph. That took me right back to sitting at the dining room table doing spirograph and thinking that was just the greatest thing ever. And this is like $26. But as you can see, there's only one left. They said we can't keep them in stock. At Christmas, people go crazy and buy them for their kids. And I think that's a good thing. Yahtzee was always my favorite game. And then they had a lot of little golden books. And just a lot of random little toys that were just different. And things that took me back to when I was a kid. And like I said, everything was expensive, but what kind of price can you put on nostalgia? It's just the best, the absolute best. And then, of course, they had a horse that I think has been there for a long, long time. It was older looking. And we haven't even gotten to the sewing department. You know how those old dime stores had their own little departments, just like Kmart and Walmart. I went back to the sewing part, which I love, and they had a lot of dish towels and pot holders and napkins and placemats and runners. Just about anything you need for your home, they have it. And they have, now I forgot to take a picture of it, but they had a lot of primitive looking dish towels that I like. And they had aprons and scarves for your tables. These crocheted scarves really brought back memories because my grandma, she made her own, but people always had those. And you want to make some pillowcases? Remember when everybody embroidered pillowcases and scarves for their dresser scarves? And didn't matter what pattern you needed, they had them. I mean, hundreds of different patterns. If you are a crafter and you live in the area and you desire an old-fashioned dime store experience, you need to go to Rockville, Indiana. It's off the charts amazing. And it takes you a while to go through it if you really want to take it all in. And then this really turns me on because I love to embroider. And they had all the wheels and all the different colors of embroidery floss, any color you can imagine. And they had it displayed really nice so they can't get messed up. And then all the dime stores had these. As you're walking down the aisles, they had these rolls of plastic, vinyl, I guess tablecloths. I don't know, but they're selling them. And some of them were empty. And then they had a little bit of yarn. I got so tickled. I know people crochet and knit still, and they had so much yarn. This place was fun. And material, they had a little bit of that too. And you can tell by looking up front, it looks just like back in the old days. They haven't changed a thing. They're using the same racks and the same display pieces. And they had all the fabrics, and they had all the rickrack and the notions and the books. And, it just goes on and on. All the stuff. My mom used to take me back there because she was like me. There's the rickrack. She would make things. And she sewed and created all the time, and I guess that's where I got it from. Every notion you could ever imagine, they had it. People go in there and are looking for specific things, and whoever's working there can take you right to it. It's just amazing. I had a little bit too much fun. And they even had miniature stuff. The last time I was there, they had little tables and cabinets that you could paint and stain, and I couldn't find them this time, but back in this department, there weren't so many people, so I was able to take more pictures. But I don't even know if I remembered to look for the miniature stuff. But all the crafty stuff, they had it. And more dish towels and more. They have a lot of dish towels. And I like it because you can get specialized things, more yarn for people. Like Rosie liked roosters. I could always find her one in there. But anyway, it was great. And the only thing I bought at the Bridgeton Festival was these little sprigs of greenery. They are real soft and they hang down real nice. They're plastic, kind of a rubbery plastic, so I can wash them easily if they get dusty. I bought several of those because they were cheap and they were in a big bucket, and I wanted those for Christmas. And then I bought this. There's a lady that sells these reproduction pumpkins, and I bought one from her last year that was orange, and I decided to buy the black one this year. And she told me that she can barely keep them in stock. She said the lady that makes them lives in St. Louis, and she went there and bought a whole van full of them from her. And she said, I needed a van full because so many people want them. And I see why, because they were very vintage looking. You really can't tell them from the original ones. So yeah, it was a beautiful day, beautiful weekend spent with my kids. And this was the sad part. We came home and we all kind of sat around and talked and rested a little bit, and then they had to go home. And that's the saddest part for me, because when those cars pull out the driveway, I get a little sentimental, and Kevin will say, how did this go by so fast? And I cried. I always do. But anyway, there's much more to come. We'll wait till the middle of the week, like I said, and Kevin and I will go down and spend a couple more days at the festival and get more footage for you. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. I'm digging out a few more fall things. Don't think I'm going to get it all out, but I did grab a few things. And I was looking at some of my fall videos from the past 2 years, and I urge you new viewers to go back and look at those, because I have a lot of great content on how to make fall things and how to decorate and all that. And I showed a lot of the crafts that I'd done, a lot of the building and repairs that I'd done to my house, like here where I took the furring strips and fixed the drywall behind my washer and dryer when the cabinet crashed to the ground, when I put new wood flooring down in our bedroom and stained it, and believe it or not, it still isn't banged up as much as I'd like for it to be, how I decorate my miniature places for fall, my little roadside stand that I made out of little hickory nuts and acorns and little pieces of dried sedum for my flowers to make mums. That little roadside stand was so cute. It's only about 8 inches by 10 inches. And some of my Halloween decorations, a lot of the stuff that I'm not showing you now, I've shown in previous videos, like this little 1/2 inch tall candy sack for Halloween, and these little 1 1/2 inch tall pumpkin men that I made for my little Halloween scenes. I like to make those to sit around at Halloween, but when I make them now, I sell them. But I have these, I think I have 4 original ones, and they're my absolute favorites. I just love them. And I just thought maybe some of you new viewers would like to go back. Just look for my fall videos from the past, like these little beef house rolls that are about 1/2 inch tall. I made those out of clay and painted them. And then the antique dishes that I make for my doll houses. This little plate's only about 1.5 inches wide. This is a pretty little 99-cent cardboard picture I found. Some roadside finds. All these can be found in my older fall videos. I don't want to repeat myself, but if you want to go back and see them, you can see these kinds of things. I painted that from an old maple table I found alongside the road. And then these are my coffee table craziness. I'm always decorating my coffee table with a bunch of stuff, and my new viewers haven't seen all that, so I would like to go back and watch those. And we'll talk about some more of that kind of stuff in my next videos. But I did want to take you on this short trip to the covered bridge. Now, you didn't get to see a lot of antiques, but when we go back, I'll show you the antique alley, because it's the best part of it. And I'll show you some of the things that I wasn't able to show you this time. I would be like, oh, I wish that guy'd get out of my way so I can take a better picture. But we had a splendid weekend. I hope you guys are enjoying this fall weather. We're just having the best weather here in Indiana, and I'm so appreciative of it. And I'm so appreciative of you guys for making my channel grow, and I love you all from the bottom of my heart.